Meanwhile, President Obama is expected to meet with Democrats on Wednesday. The goal to figure out just how Obamacare might be saved from being dismantled by a Republican majority under the Trump administration.
He's president until January 20th, and then after that it's our turn. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's got to protect what he wants to do, and perhaps you could say his legacy. But you know, if you look at Obamacare, where you have, in many cases, over 100% increase, it's unaffordable. It doesn't work. Bill Clinton said it. Maybe he shouldn't have said it during the campaign, but he said it. It's unaffordable, it doesn't work, and it's been crazy.
And roll call, columnist Jon Allen, good enough to join us now from Washington. Again, John, a new Congress sworn in tomorrow with a very powerful Republican majority coming with it. Number one, then, on the list of issues lawmakers will be tackling is what?
Repeal of Obamacare is certainly the top priority for Republican constituents, but it's hard to do that immediately, so that's going to take a little bit longer. I think you're going to start to see some efforts to roll back some of the regulations of the Obama era, particularly some of the Wall Street regulations. You're going to see efforts to reform the tax code, and you'll see probably some of the Washington reforms that Donald Trump promised. But basically, you're going to see a lot of legislative activity, and I think the way to look at it is Republicans in Congress have been chopping at the bit to try to get some things done, to try to have a more conservative vision of America, and it does not look like Donald Trump is likely to stand in their way, certainly not the way Barack Obama did.
As it stands, then, with the Affordable Care Act, as we mentioned, the president is going to be meeting with Democratic lawmakers this week, looking from what we know to save Obamacare essentially from being dismantled. How strong can their resistance be?
I think they can spend a lot of time, advising the American public on just what will be lost with the repeal of Obamacare. It looks like Republicans are thinking about a repeal with a replacement mechanism in several years, so that makes it a little bit easier. It's a lot easier to take the law down than it is to rewrite it, than it is to put something up in its place. And I think that's the place where Republicans could get hamstrung. It's the place where Democrats have the opportunity to affect this debate. In terms of the ability to put up the votes to stop a repeal, that's going to be harder for them.
Again, it should also be noted that Donald Trump, after the election, did say that there were elements of the Affordable Care Act that he did believe should remain. As we look ahead into other things on the GOP agenda and really on the president-elect's, how soon do you think before we see a Supreme Court nominee?
I don't think it's going to be very long. I imagine that, look, Donald Trump likes to audition everybody. We've seen that not only during the campaign, but also in this transition period. So I imagine we're going to see a little bit of a process, a little bit of a public relations effort attending whoever he chooses for the Supreme Court. But I think there's going to be a lot of eagerness and anxiety on the right to see somebody put in place quickly. So I imagine you'll see a nomination here within the first few weeks, and if not, certainly within the first couple months. As
we've seen also this transition get bumpier really by the day, we saw actually the president take to Donald Trump's preferred medium of Twitter in an effort perhaps to solidify a legacy. Pointed out many of the actions the administration has taken, certainly recently banning oil drilling in certain areas, protecting funds for Planned Parenthood. How symbolic do you think these final acts are, and how pragmatic can they be?
Some of them are less symbolic than others. For instance, designating areas for national monuments, it becomes a little more difficult to pull some of that stuff back. But largely, we're looking at the way our system is built. A new administration can come in, a new Congress can come in and take down what the previous ones have done. That typically hasn't been the focus in the past. Usually there isn't a lot of time spent trying to figure out how to undo what the previous president did. But Donald Trump campaigned on taking America back or making America great again. And so I think he's going to start trying to do that immediately.
Jon Allen of Roll Call, as always, the insight appreciated.
Take care.